I am recording. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Coach's Corner. We're here with Tonya Johnson from Texas. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, first of all, uh, obviously her background is Gregory Gym. I love it. How did you find that? Is it just a picture you have saved?
Yeah, our sports info person sent me some pictures of Gregory, and once I figured out how to do the virtual background, I was able to change it. So
That's
that's a pretty
amazing.
pick. I love it. I love Gregory. I love everything about this picture. It
That's
speaks
awesome.
volumes.
Yeah, it's a pretty packed gym.
Yeah.
So, kind of the format of this, we'll go through and ask some questions so that Tonya can kind of educate some of our coaches and some of our players on what we can do during this time, and then kind of more about how she got into coaching and how she coaches now. So, tell us about your background and how you got into coaching.
Well, so coaching is something that I've always wanted to do. My dad taught and coached for 35 years. He coached football. And ever since I was a little girl, all I've ever wanted to do was coach. I had two older brothers, and so I was always playing something with them and being roughed by them. And so sports has always just been a way of life for me. And so I actually started out just loving basketball. I thought it was going to be my go-to sport. I thought I was going to get a scholarship in it, and it turns out I was actually better in volleyball than I was
Okay,
in basketball. I still have a love for basketball, but
that's awesome.
volleyball is certainly my passion, obviously, since it's my career path. But
Mhm.
and so I've always wanted to coach. And so when I was in college, I was coaching a little bit of club ball, a little bit of Catholic league ball, and just kind of got involved that way. And then after I graduated from LSU, I played volleyball at LSU. And after I was done playing, I was just teaching and coaching in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Fran Flory, who is the head coach at LSU now,
Yeah.
Fran was our assistant at LSU when I played.
Okay.
So we go way back.
Yeah.
And so she was just like, when I was graduating, she goes, when I get my first big job, I'm going to call you. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, give me a call, And so I'm teaching and coaching at a school in Wellington, Florida. And she is the head coach at the University of Kentucky at the time. And she calls me and she says, hey, I have that job I promised you. And I'm like, come on, I'm going to the beach every weekend in West Palm Beach. I'm loving life. She goes, you should come check it out. And so I went for an interview and actually loved it. One of my other college teammates, Julie Stemple, Ibieta, was the other assistant at the time. So it was very easy for them to get me to fall in love with the place and
Yeah.
be familiar with people that were already there. And so that's how I got my college coaching debut at
Yeah.
the University of Kentucky. And thanks to Fran Flory. And here I am 25 years later, the associate head coach at UT.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like along your coaching journey? What have you learned as a coach that you didn't know as a player?
Probably first and foremost is patience. I think our sport is so technical that you're not gonna pick up on the skills and be great at them overnight. It takes thousands and thousands and thousands of reps to get better at our sport, as you know. And it's just something, most of the time, most kids don't reach or don't play their best volleyball until they're in their mid to late 20s, because there's so much about the game to learn
Mhm.
and so many ways to get better. And, you've got to learn, about the volleyball IQ side of it. And I mean, there's just so many aspects that you just learn through the years that it kind of all comes together when you're older. And I hear a lot of our former players from Texas who are still playing professionally. A lot of them are playing their best volleyball right now because they understand the game. They can see the block, they can see the defense, they have the volleyball IQ. They know what swing to make or what blocking move to make. And so I just think it's patience is one of the things that I've learned. And then the other thing I've learned is flexibility. I think in this day and age we're coaching a different era of kids. And old methods may not work with the new era of kids today, and so you have to be willing to change. You don't have to, change your non-negotiables per se, but
Mhm.
I think the way you coach, the way you approach it, the way you talk to them, I think has all changed over the last 10 to 15 years, and so you have to be flexible enough to be able to want to evolve as the game is evolving, and as the generation of kids are evolving, and so
Yeah.
you have to be willing to make that change, and do what fits best for your program in terms of the type of kids that you have in your program.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. What do you feel like the major, other than like rule changes in volleyball, as you've seen, like what do you feel like some of the major technique areas are that have changed since you've been in the coaching role?
I mean, when I was a player, we didn't hit behind middles, didn't hit behind the setters very
Oh, wow.
much when I played.
Okay.
Yeah, we ran a lot of things in front, but just as I graduated and as it moved on into the 90s, hitting behind the setter is a big thing today.
Yeah.
And so, but I also think. I felt like we went away from the ball control side of things once we got into the club side, and numbers and trying to play everybody. So I feel like we got away from the six rotation player, but I feel like it's slowly, going back to
Yes.
training kids to be all around players.
Mhm.
I think one of the best versatility players we have in our gym right now is Molly Phillips. So you see kids being a little bit more versatile today
Yeah.
than they were 10, 15 years ago, and so
Mhm.
I think, I think those are some of the things that you see that are changing. People can play multiple positions now,
Yeah.
whereas that used to not be the case. And so I just, those things I think are some things that you're starting to see that are starting to take off and starting to get better in our sport.
Definitely. So what do you feel like drew you to Texas specifically?
Well, Fran played at Texas and actually won an AIAW national championship here, and so she always talked about Texas during our coaching experiences and how Mick Haley affected her. He was the head coach and coached her during that time, and just talked about the rich tradition and history of UT. And of course, I grew up knowing about UT. As a matter of fact, in 1990, we beat Texas to go to the Final Four.
Okay.
We were down 2-0 and came back and won the next three, and I think won the fifth set 16-14. And that was back during side out volleyball back in the
Okay.
day. And so I've always known that Texas was a great place, had a great program, a great tradition and history. And so when I interviewed for the job in 2003, I wasn't looking to leave LSU at the time because it's my alma mater, it's home, my entire
Mhm.
family's still there. And so, but it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up to help rebuild this great program. And so I felt like it was the right place for me. It felt right. You know how when you go someplace and it's the right place, and that's how I felt the first time back in 2003 when I interviewed here. And so as you can see, I was here for 6 years, left for 5, and I'm back, and I'm going into my 7th year back. So man, time flies.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what do you feel like? This question is kind of twofold too, because you can go into the technical side, but you can also talk about culture. What do you feel like Texas volleyball does a really good job of? Like, whether that's training or culture, like, what does that look like?
Well, I feel like as a staff, we are a well balanced staff that complements each other very well, and I think that we train our kids very well. You're definitely going to improve in our gym because you're competing against the best on a
Mhm.
daily basis, and so I feel like from a training aspect, our kids improve. I think it's always good to go back and watch the season and see where we were in August, and then see where we end in December in terms of the rate of improvement as of our team as individuals and as a team. But I think the other thing that we do well is we have a culture that is unbelievable, where where we teach our young ladies how to communicate, because that's always the hardest thing for girls at 18 to 20 years old is learning how to communicate. And so we make it a priority to teach our kids how to communicate. You've got to be able to come in and talk to us when you feel like, things aren't going right, or even if things are going well, be able to come and share that with us. And so having an open door policy, and having a culture where it's their team too. It's not just our team, it's their team too. So you want them to take ownership in that. And I think we do a great job of that. I think that Jarrett's really good at communicating with our kids in terms of letting them know where they stand, and just kind of meeting with them on a daily basis. I probably think he's probably having anywhere from 3 to 5 meetings, every day, just checking in with somebody 5 to 10 minutes, because if there's something more and we need to meet more about it, we will. But I just think we do a very good job of communicating with our kids, and I think that's so important. So and we want to have relationships with them when they're done playing. So you want to build that relationship and make sure they're comfortable enough to be able to come to you when after volleyball as well. And so we have great relationships with our players who are not here anymore, who have gone on to do great things. And I think that's an attribute to the things that we do in our program from a cultural standpoint.
That's awesome. So y'all had a really good season this year. So you finished ranked 4th in RPI and then 8th by the AVCA coaches poll. So what do you feel like led y'all to that success this year? What factors led y'all to that success?
Well, first off, I feel like our team was we had a bunch of go-getters. They grinded hard every day. They showed up every day. I feel like it was a team that you never ever questioned their work ethic. They came to work every day and they wanted to be great. And I think that's another reason why our culture has been so good, because we've been able to recruit kids who want to compete for championships, whether that's Big 12 championships, NCAA championships. And those are the type of kids that we have in our program. And so they wanted to get better every day. They were hungry every day to get better. We started out the season really well. And then, of course, we lost to Louisville in the Sweet 16, and we just came up against a very good Louisville team who outplayed us. To be honest, they had a very good day, and we had a not so good day. And so the term on any given day is true. It's very true. And they came out and played hard. Hats off to Louisville. They played a heck of a match, and they won the match. And so it's a disappointing ending. But when we got back to school in January and kind of put things in perspective and put the fall season to rest, our kids were very hungry to get back in the gym and to improve, to get better, so that doesn't happen next year, losing in the Sweet 16.
Definitely. So that kind of leads into our next question. What areas are y'all specifically looking to improve in this next year?
We're always looking to improve on the ball control side. I think you look at a player like Micaiah White. When Micaiah came to Texas, she wasn't a 6 rotation player, but the last 3 years, she's been playing 6 rotations. Logan Eggleston didn't play 6 rotations her freshman year, but she's a 6 rotation player now, and so trying to develop more on the ball control side of it from a passing perspective and a defensive perspective has been our point of emphasis, was our point of emphasis before the virus came into effect. And so and our motto for the spring, we kind of have a motto every spring, and this spring it was grind every day. And I feel like our players were coming in and grinding every day to get better. We have big physical kids, and so I feel like our offense will always be good, but it's the defensive side of the ball, the passing side of the ball. If we can just get a little bit better in each of those areas, I think that we'll be a better team.
Yeah. So as a coach, how do you go about like enforcing those things consistently? How do you strive to get the girls in that position?
Oh, you talk about it every day, and you don't go away from it, So in our individuals, when we were in our 8 hours a week, most of our individuals were based upon the ball control side of things and some offense, but not more defense and passing than offense. And then we were I think we'd only had team practice for a week, but our focus was on first contact, whether that's digging, whether that's passing, whether that's serving, whatever from a ball control standpoint. The point of emphasis was definitely on that. And we have Zoom meetings, a couple of staff Zoom meetings every week, and we've been talking a lot of volleyball and just breaking every skill set down, and talking about the mechanics of it, the keywords that we want to use in our gym with our players, and just breaking everything down. And that was really good to go through all of that, and kind of break it down, and even team systems, offensively and defensively. We were able to break that down. And so those meetings have been really, really good, just in preparation for when we're able to go back.
Yeah. So kind of going into the image that's displayed behind you, what is it like to coach in Gregory Gym? What is that like?
It's the feeling is electric.
Mm-hmm.
Our fans are some of the best fans in the country, or they are the best fans in the country. I'm sorry. But they come out and they support us regardless of who we're playing. And they show up night in and night out and pack Gregory Gym, and it's loud and it's intimidating, and our student section's awesome. When our swimmers come out and support us, and they're taking off a layer of clothing for point, and then they're down to their Speedos at point 25. It is just an incredible place. Our band is incredible. They're super, super supportive. And we just, we have a great following of Texas fans that come out and support us. And, one of the things that I absolutely love about being at Texas is that, our fans, they don't love it just because it's football or basketball. They love it because it's Texas. And that I can appreciate, because the support that we get night in and night out is just incredible. And, we can't thank them enough for the support that they give us. And our kids thrive off of that. They really, really do a great job of just feeding off of that energy, and so sometimes when we go and play other places and it's quiet in their gym, it's like, hey, you're going to have to create your own energy tonight. We don't have our student section or our band, or, here, you've got to go out and create your own energy and go out and compete at the highest level. So, but Gregory's a great place. It's definitely a home court advantage. It's definitely a volleyball friendly facility. And it's the most electric place when that place is full.
For sure. Yeah. So kind of off of that, how do you as a coach mentally prepare for a match?
Well, usually I try to keep myself busy on match days. I feel like I get lots of work done on match days. Not that I don't on any other days, but I try, preparing for the match in terms of, watching film on our opponents, and usually get to watch anywhere from 2 to 3 matches on our opponents. And I'm in charge of serving, and so trying to figure out who we're going to serve, and where their weaknesses are, and just trying to figure that stuff out. But I just, I feel like I just treat it like it's just a normal day. I try not to make it any bigger than what it is, because it's already big enough for our players. And so just trying to stay relaxed and calm. And I love competition. The anticipation of it is the part that gets me, because I'm such a competitor, but I keep it in control. I keep it in check. And we just try to be calm around our kids, to let them know this is like any other day. Go out there and do your job, and get it done, and that's how I approach coaching, because I think I shouldn't be any more hyped on a match day than I was at yesterday's practice. You hear a lot of coaches say, well, practices are my matches, and so you try to carry that same demeanor into a match, because you don't want to make it any bigger than what it is.
Yeah, really cool. So I have a few questions seeking advice for coaches and how we guide players on the recruiting front, especially right now. But what do you look for in players when you are recruiting, whether that's like intangible skills or tangible skills?
Well, of course, that all depends on what position we're looking at in that particular year. But I think it's important for us. The physicality side of it is important for us, and then just watching them compete, how they interact with their teammates, how they interact with their coaches, and more importantly, how they interact off the court. Watch them with their parents, watch them with their coaches off the court. So you especially want to see what they look like after a loss, and what that looks like. And so just trying to watch as much as possible. But also from a skill set standpoint, making sure that there's potential for growth. Has this kid topped out? Are they going to get better? Are they going to stay status quo? All of those questions have to be answered. So, we're pretty well known for going out and recruiting, physical players, and of course we love that physicality. But I think the skill set's important. I think the attitude's important. I think the relationships are important. And you kind of see that, and then you go watch them with their high school team, and you see how well they work with their high school team. And then just, I just think the relationships are super, super important too. How they treat their teammates, how are they looking coach in the eye at the timeout, or when coach is talking to them from the sideline. And all of those things are so, so important. And I've been doing this for many years, and so I know how to look like I'm not watching when in reality I'm watching. And so I just think that's an important thing for people to know, is that college coaches are always watching.
Yeah, definitely. So when you are able to have conversations with players on the phone or in person, what impresses you?
Some of the things that impress me, the questions that they ask, how prepared are they to have the conversation? Who's leading the conversation? Am I leading the conversation, or are they leading the conversation? I think you can tell a lot of a player's personality by having a phone conversation with them. Are they quiet? Are they talkative? But for me, it's about how prepared are you to have the conversation, with me, and what preparation did you do to prepare for that conversation? And so, some kids are very comfortable with it, and some aren't, and I understand that. I think that's just part of it. But are you prepared to have the conversation? Do you have questions prepared for me? Or am I leading the conversation, or are you leading the conversation? And trust me, I've had lots of conversations, and they've all been very, very different. Some I've led, some they've led, some some I get yes, no, and so it just depends. But I think being prepared for the phone call, having questions, I think is important. And then just being able to have a conversation, and it doesn't have to always be volleyball related too. I think it's important too to get off that topic every now and then. I think that takes the pressure off of players sometimes when it's not just all volleyball related. So I think I do a pretty good job of doing some volleyball and doing some other things besides volleyball in the conversations.
For sure. So what ways has Texas volleyball stayed active kind of during this time?
Man, I've talked to a lot of club coaches.
Hey, we love it.
Yeah, just staying in touch with club coaches, and it's been interesting, because these are conversations that typically you would have in person, being on the road, and so now you're just calling and checking in, and just kind of seeing what people are doing, from the standpoint of how are they keeping their teams engaged, because some of that stuff we can use with our team, and what are they doing to keep their kids active in terms of the volleyball side of it and the strength and conditioning side of it. And so it's been good to talk to people and just kind of connect with people and see how they're doing. And so but definitely encouraging, just telling them to encourage their kids to send updates, whether it's email or text messages. I love hearing from recruits. I read everything that I get. And so it just depends on how outgoing that player is, in terms of reaching out and sending film, and just letting people know what they're doing. But yes, I've connected a lot with a lot of club coaches in the last month and a half, and so it's been really good. It's been really good.
Cool. And you just kind of covered our next question, which was just kids staying engaged in the recruiting process. You're just encouraging them to send lots of emails and updates.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I think that's important. I think that's super, super important. I feel like this 22 class probably feels like, man, what more could happen, during our recruiting process,
Yeah.
with the rule changes and then now the coronavirus. And so the advice is just be patient. Everything will work itself out.
For sure. And going off of that, do you have any advice for the class of 2022? Sorry, couldn't say that. Heading into June 15th?
Yeah, be ready for an onslaught of phone calls.
Yes.
It's coming. It's
Mhm.
coming. So are you ready? How prepared are you? I just think get ready, because I think a lot of us are itching to have those conversations, because it's been a while,
Wild. Mhm.
and so my advice is just to be ready.
Yeah, definitely. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your coaching journey or advice for coaches or players right now?
No, I thank you for this opportunity, and look forward to seeing everybody back on the recruiting trail at some point.
Yes.
And just want to encourage everybody to stay hopeful that this will all get better in due time.
Yes.
So
Well, Houston Skyline really, really thanks you for getting on the phone with us. This was awesome. I know everyone will really love seeing this. So we really appreciate you joining us today,
thanks,
Tonya.
Amy. Appreciate it.
Have a great
Welcome.
day.
Thanks. Bye
Bye.
bye.